Thanks for having me, and particularly as the last speaker in the last panel on the last day. Thanks for sticking with us. As Tom mentioned, I work for a company called Clean Line Energy, and Clean Line is an independent transmission developer. We're currently developing 5 projects across the country, and all of our projects have the same thesis, and that's to deliver low-cost, high-capacity factor wind energy to major cities and demand centers that have a need for low-cost renewables. So the project I want to talk about today is called the Plains and Eastern Clean Line. Plains and Eastern is a 700-mile transmission line currently under development that will originate in the Oklahoma Panhandle and will have 2 delivery points, one in central Arkansas and one in Shelby County, Tennessee. The Arkansas delivery point will be 500 megawatts, and the Tennessee delivery will be for 3,500 megawatts. So the project will enable more than 4,000 megawatts of new wind to be developed and delivered to the Southeast. Once we get to these points on the grid, we can use the existing AC system to deliver to not just Arkansas and Tennessee, but also Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, and others. The project will utilize direct current technology, which is the preferred solution for transporting remote power long distances. And the reason for that is that DC transmission has lower line losses and also requires narrow right-of-way than a comparable alternating current solution. So our project will have both economic benefits and land use impact benefits by using this technology. So the reason we're developing the project can be seen really clearly on this map. Unlike all the maps we looked at yesterday, the colors here do not indicate cancer or heart disease occurrence. Rather, it's a wind map. So this shows average wind speeds at 80 meters, which is the typical hub height of a modern wind turbine. The purple area here indicates where you have wind speeds that are on average about 8.5 meters per second or higher. And we can see in the Tennessee area and surrounding region, we don't have that high of wind speeds. It's about 6.5 to 7 meters per second. So this might seem like a small difference, 8.5 meters per second to 6.5, but the power potential available in the wind for harvesting goes with the cube of the wind speed. So that means that an 8.5 meter per second, you have almost 225% the wind power production potential is at 6.5 meters per second. So the benefit of putting wind turbines in these incredibly windy places is that you're actually able to produce more energy. So you're spreading the fixed cost of your wind turbine over more megawatt hours of energy produced, which lowers the dollars per megawatt hour cost of that energy. So by building wind in Oklahoma, it allows us to get an incredibly low wind cost. The wind in that region is about $20 to $25 a megawatt hour, and these are real prices that are publicly available as PPA prices being signed today with current technology. And at Clean Line in 2013, we actually conducted a request for information process to collect data about wind farms under development near our Oklahoma converter station. And the 4,000 megawatts that were most price competitive in that process averaged about $24 a megawatt hour when we asked them about what the price of the wind generated by their project would be. So what that means is even if you add on a cost adder for transmission, which for the Plains and Eastern project to get to Tennessee will be about another $20 to $25 a megawatt hour, your cost of delivered energy is incredibly competitive relative to other options for new generation build. And that is with or without the production tax credit or PTC. So what you're looking at here is the levelized cost of energy for new build for various sources, and this comes from Lazard's annual levelized cost of energy analysis. So you can see that wind with and without the PTC is competitive with new natural gas, solar, coal, nuclear, and solar thermal. Now, Lazard used a gas price of $4.50 per MMBTU in this analysis, which is obviously much higher than spot gas prices today. But it is consistent with what we've been seeing in the long-term planning assumptions for utilities in this region. So what does the Clean Power Plan mean for this project? As was discussed yesterday, the draft rule absolutely provides the option for a purchasing state that's importing wind to take credit for the emissions that are offset by that renewable energy purchase. So as Commissioner Martineau discussed yesterday, Tennessee, if it would like, could absolutely take credit for emissions that are reduced because of delivery of imported wind from the Plains and Eastern project. So here you can see the mass-based CO2 emissions reductions prescribed in the draft rule. You can see that for Tennessee, they'll need to reduce about 16 million tons of CO2 to comply. And then here on the right, we show that the Plains and Eastern project, so 4,000 megawatts of 55% capacity factor wind delivered by DC transmission, can substantially contribute to the emissions reductions needed in the region. So depending on the source of generation that's displaced by the new wind energy, it'll vary what the actual impacts are. So this 9 million tons of CO2 assumes that the project displaces all gas. The 23 million tons assumes all coal. Of course, in reality, it'll be a mix of a variety of sources. We performed some production cost modeling looking at the expected generation stack in 2018, including the wind energy that could be delivered by the project. And in that, we found that about 13 million tons of CO2 would be abated. So it's almost 10% of what would be needed in this region. So just to wrap up, we are not developing the Plains and Eastern Clean Line solely as a Clean Power Plan compliance option. The rationale behind the project is that low-cost wind coupled with efficient transmission can provide the Southeast with a cost-efficient option for new renewables generation. But that being said, the project could absolutely be an option for Clean Power Plan compliance, as the wind delivered by the line will offset generation from thermal plants.